Hey guys, what's up? Scythe here with a video, a little bit, it's kind of the topic of World of Warcraft, but maybe in general all MMOs. I want to talk about gear and some of the different things I haven't been liking about MMO progression as far as PvP goes. I know they have this problem on Star Wars: The Old Republic where the gear gap gets way too big, too fast, and then alts and whatnot. You're just spent the whole time just in this catch-up process that never ends. So I've been doing a little reading and come across this blog that the World of Warcraft developers, of course, put out. Basically, they're trying to reduce the gear gap with PvP gear coming in midway through a season. Of course, Star Wars has, you know, kind of the same thing, but they don't really have, I guess, official seasons yet. It's still preseason, which is a whole nother issue. It's quite ridiculous that it's still preseason. But we all know about the gear gap in the two games and how frustrating it is coming in and just getting smoked like I just did right there. I got completely butchered right there. You always have those when you first start playing a game trying to get back your key bindings and everything. Like the first death is just terrible. Then the rest of the game I just slowly improved getting back in the hang of things. But yeah, you have that problem of the gear gap. You know, basically every MMO you play, you know, say you have a main, you really enjoy it, they either nerf something or you just get bored of the class and then you decide to re-roll, and then all of a sudden you're so far behind in gear you just get smoked in PvP. There's nothing you can do about it but just grind your butt off, and eventually you may get caught up, you may not get caught up, you know, you never know, and this could be a 6-month process. Well, they decided on, at least on WoW, and I hope other, you know, game developers follow this path. This setup they're talking about in this blog is not perfect by no means, but it's definitely a step in the right direction that for once, you know, they may actually be listening to their player base slightly. It's not 100% great, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. I hope they do this with some of the other games. To start off, you know, this, of course, you can find this on the WoW website if you want to read in depth. I'm not going to cover everything. But basically, they're putting in a mid-season catch-up system, which is going to allow basically the people that participated every year, you know, every week. You know, they have the system where you can only get so many points per week to buy gear. Star Wars, you can just get as much as you can. But still, I would say Star Wars has a steeper curve if you're not doing Raider Battlegrounds, because you have to trade in all those comms, so it's actually longer than having a set amount per week. But of course the set amount per week is also, you know, that's it's kind of two different systems there, but I hope you get what I'm getting at, that both systems are pretty brutal. But for the WoW, it's 1800 if you don't increase your rating with RBGs, you know, arenas, whatnot. I'm sure some of you are old WoW players and, you know, you understand the system, more current WoW players. But basically, they're gonna, you know, say somebody sat out 6 weeks, or you decide to re-roll, you know, 10 weeks into the season. They're basically going to give you a allowance of, let's say, 10,000 points that you can make up of some of that gear gap, and it's actually a pretty good amount. So if I had started from the beginning, I got 1,800 per week. They're going to give you basically 1,000 per week that you miss. Some of you are saying this is unfair, blah blah blah. The people that still had the beginning, started from the beginning, still will be ahead slightly, but you know, by 800 per week. So, you know, they'll have probably the few more off pieces and whatnot. They'll have a slight advantage, but it's not going to be like a 20%, 10 to 20% difference in gear that there is for the people starting out and the people that finish. So I think this is, I mean, it's not perfect, and this may be a small step, like they're testing to see how this works, to later develop it to even a better system. But I really like the idea of having a mid-season catch-up, and then they make it where after you've earned, okay, say they give you those 10,000 to get caught up. Once you reach 27,000, or a set amount, I think it's 27,000, I may not be correct about that, it's a set amount that you then can use honor points, which is like, you know, Star Wars War Zones. You know, you could just get unlimited commendations to buy the regular gear for that cost. So it'd be like buying War Hero gear for Battleground comms or WoW Honor for conquest items. So you'll be able to get caught up really quick. The people that had the full gear will still be a little bit ahead of you. They are implementing a tier system, so it's going to be like Honor gear, Conquest, and Elite. And Elite unlocks after a certain amount of Conquest. So the main thing you're going to be behind is maybe 5 to, I would say 5% maximum, that you're going to be behind on gear. So it's actually reducing that gear gap a lot. Basically, you're going to be able to get caught up, get enough gear that you're competitive, then grind more Honor, get your gear, and you'll be a little bit behind, not a 20% gap. And I wish Star Wars would do this. They're not doing many PvP changes at all. That I'm just completely frustrated with the entire system. But if they would even do something like that along, or even other games that have huge gear gaps, you have to have some kind of catch-up. You still want to reward the players that spent all the time, but you need some kind of catch-up system like this that they're doing. I really like, this is kind of the first step that I've seen MMO developers talk about catching people up without, just giving everybody free gear. And some of you may have different opinions on this. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Do you like some kind of catch-up system that gets you at least competitive, not like in the Stone Age when you re-roll an alt. It's ridiculous in some games how if you go back to re-roll, you're just, out of luck. Take you 6 months to a year to get caught up. So they're kind of doing a tier system, different levels. They're going to have their, Honor gear, Conquest gear, and then Elite gear. Of course, if you want all the details, it explains mathematically when stuff unlocks, when the catch-up starts, how much you get per week. The other thing they're getting rid of is rating requirement for PvP gear, weapons, the armor, the Elite gear. Now you'll just have to have a set amount, say 27,000, to unlock a Elite weapon. And a lot of people have been just ticked off about that in the WoW community, saying, oh, we earned our 2,200, we should get a weapon. The whole thing for me is I've been over 2,200 several seasons, and I've been under 2,200 a couple of seasons that, I started out and I was way behind on gear. There's no way I was making it. And basically you hit a wall at like their rating requirement of 2150 and you're fighting people with the better weapons, and there's just not much you can do. And so it's really not fair. There is a certain part of me that says, yeah, they earned that. They started out at the beginning of the season, blah, blah, blah. But it should still be a little bit more competitive without just giving someone a huge boost in damage. So I'm on the fence of just removing it all and, getting rid of that gap. So we'll see what they do. I'm not they're kind of a little cloudy on the details about this, if they're even going to have 2,200 weapons or just everybody's going to unlock it after you've reached a certain cap potential. The other thing is you shouldn't have to have a better weapon to beat lower rating people. If you're a high rated team, you should have the skill and practice to be able to beat them. So that's another thing that I really like, these changes, catch-up system, removal of the rating requirements. Just makes things a lot easier. And I hope this is kind of a trend we're seeing, that maybe people will start listening, developers at least hear us a little bit about some of these problems we're having with the PvP systems. The other thing they're doing is so people don't sit on ratings, they're making a rating inflation. This is basically a quality of life thing, so people don't get to a high rating and just stop playing. The teams that play a lot will actually pass them up by the end of the year. That's also a really good change. We'll see how Star Wars The Old Republic does their system. They don't even have a confirmed season started, which is a disaster in itself. But so far things are looking pretty good with the WoW still has problems with warriors and balancing problems, but a lot of the 5.2 changes are actually really good for balancing, nerfing a lot of classes that really deserve it and need it, and all these rating and gear catch-up. So definitely, if you're an old WoW player, go check out their site, look at the changes that are coming to different classes. The balancing looks pretty good for the next patch. You'll still always have the problems, of course, in PvP and different games, but it's definitely a step in the right direction with balancing. And then take a look at this blog, look at the catch-up system. Tell me what you think about their catch-up system. Do you think something like this should be implemented in other MMOs? Let me know about this gameplay too. This is actually using Open Broadcaster. The quality I'm not so sure about. It looks a little hazy. Not sure if I'm going to keep using this to recording or just go back to what I was using. The file size is a lot smaller with this Open Broadcaster, so that's why I was trying it out. So let me know quality, read the blog, asking a lot of things. I know I'm not the best Shadow Priest. This is a brand new alt that I was getting ready for this new system implemented. So I will talk to you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this video.